Welcome to a journey of faith, purpose, and transformation. Relationships are one of the greatest gifts from God, but they are also a reflection of His plan for your life. Today we'll explore how aligning with God's purpose can strengthen your connections, heal your heart, and guide you toward the relationships you were destined to have. If you're ready to invite divine wisdom into your life and love, let's begin this powerful conversation. There is a moment when you realize you've been holding on too tightly, clinging to someone who isn't giving you the same energy in return. You feel the imbalance, the exhaustion of always being the one to initiate, the one to care more, the one to fight for something that should flow naturally. But what if the key to getting what you want isn't in holding on, but in letting go? What if the moment you pull away, everything shifts in your favor? Detachment is not about playing games. It is about reclaiming your power, shifting your focus, and stepping back into the energy of confidence. The moment you stop over-investing in a man, you stop pouring your love, time, and attention into someone who is not reciprocating, you shift the entire dynamic. He feels it. He notices it. And whether he realizes it consciously or not, it triggers something deep within him. Men are wired to be drawn to what they can't fully grasp. When a woman is always available, always reaching out, always making him the center of her world, the mystery fades. He becomes comfortable. He assumes she will always be there. And that comfort can quickly turn into complacency. But the second you detach, the energy changes. Suddenly he feels the space you've created. He starts to question why you aren't seeking his validation anymore. He begins to wonder if you've moved on, if someone else has caught your attention, if he took you for granted. A man's greatest fear isn't losing a woman who chases him. It's losing a woman who walks away without a second thought. When you detach, you are no longer controlled by his actions, his words, or his inconsistency. You are no longer waiting for a text, analyzing his behavior, or trying to figure out what he wants. Instead, you redirect that energy back into yourself. You focus on your own joy, your own peace, your own glow. And that glow, that's what makes you magnetic. The truth is, men don't chase women who need them. They chase women who choose them. There is a difference. A woman who needs a man gives away her power. She's dependent on his affection, his attention, his validation to feel good about herself. But a woman who chooses a man, she already knows her worth. She is whole on her own, and any man in her life is there because she allows him to be, not because she needs him to be. When you detach, you create space for a man to step up. You remove the pressure, the expectation, the weight of needing him to act a certain way. And in doing so, you allow him to feel the loss of your energy. He starts to realize that the love you gave so freely is no longer guaranteed. The effort you put into him is now being directed elsewhere, toward yourself, toward your dreams, toward the things that make you feel alive. You see, detachment isn't about making someone miss you. It's about shifting your focus so deeply onto yourself that you become impossible to ignore. The moment you stop chasing is the moment they start noticing. It's the moment they start wondering what changed, what happened, why they suddenly feel the absence of something they once took for granted. A woman who knows her worth doesn't beg. She doesn't wait. She doesn't try to convince someone to see her value. She simply exists in her power, knowing that the right energy will always be drawn to her. And if a man can't recognize what he has when he has it, then he was never meant to have it in the first place. This is where everything changes for you. The moment you decide that you are enough, just as you are, the moment you understand that your love is a gift, and not everyone deserves access to it. The moment you stop fearing loss and start valuing yourself. Because when you detach, you don't lose anything, you gain everything. There is something captivating about a woman who knows her worth. She moves differently, speaks differently, carries herself with an energy that is impossible to ignore. She does not beg for attention, nor does she seek validation. She radiates confidence effortlessly, and that confidence is what makes her irresistible. Men are naturally drawn to women who exude certainty, not to those who constantly seek reassurance. When a woman is secure in herself, she becomes a magnet. There is no desperation in her presence, no neediness in her voice, no fear in her heart. She understands that she is the prize. She does not chase, she attracts. But the moment she clings, the moment she starts overanalyzing his words, waiting for his calls, adjusting her life to fit into his world, the attraction begins to fade. A man wants to feel like he has won something rare, something special. He is wired to pursue, to put in effort, to feel a sense of accomplishment when he earns a woman's attention. But when a woman makes herself too available, when she is always the one initiating, always the one bending to accommodate his needs while ignoring her own, he begins to take her for granted. He doesn't have to put in any effort, so he doesn't. The truth is, when a woman clings, she unknowingly repels the very thing she desires. She sends a message that she does not believe in her own value, that she is willing to settle, that she fears losing him more than she values herself. And nothing kills attraction faster than desperation. A man does not want to feel like he is your entire world. He wants to feel like he is a part of your world. A world that is already rich, full, and beautiful without him. A confident woman does not need to prove her worth to anyone. She knows that her presence is a gift, and she does not waste it on someone who does not appreciate it. She walks into a room and owns it, not because she is trying to impress anyone, but because she is at peace with who she is. She does not fear being alone because she enjoys her own company. She does not tolerate disrespect because she knows she deserves better. And most importantly, she does not settle for half-hearted love, because she understands that real love does not require chasing. When a man senses this energy, he feels something different. He feels intrigued. He feels challenged. He feels the need to step up. He starts to see her as someone who cannot be easily won over, someone who will not tolerate inconsistency, someone who will walk away the moment she feels unappreciated. And that is when he begins to invest, to pursue, to value her in a way he never did before. It is not about playing hard to get, it is about actually being hard to get. Not because you are manipulating him, but because you genuinely have a life, goals, and priorities that do not revolve around him. A high-value woman does not rearrange her schedule to fit into a man's life. She does not sit by the phone waiting for a text. She does not make excuses for bad behavior or accept less than she deserves. She holds herself to a higher standard, and in doing so, she forces the right man to rise to meet it. Clinginess, on the other hand, sends the opposite message. It tells a man that you are afraid of losing him, that you will tolerate any behavior just to keep him around, that your happiness is dependent on his presence. And when a man realizes this, he loses respect. He may enjoy the attention at first, but eventually he will pull away. Not because he necessarily wants to, but because the energy no longer excites him. There is no mystery, no challenge, no sense of excitement that makes him crave you. The most powerful thing a woman can do is trust in her own worth. The moment she stops chasing, stops overgiving, stops making excuses, she reclaims her power. She shifts from being someone who is waiting to be chosen to someone who does the choosing. And that shift, that is what makes all the difference. Because a man may admire a woman who who is always available, always giving, always ready to please. But he will only truly respect, desire, and commit to a woman who knows she does not need him to complete her. There is nothing more powerful than a shift in energy. You may not even say a word, yet the moment you detach, something changes. A man can feel it. He senses the difference. The space where your attention once was. The absence of the constant reassurance he had grown used to. And suddenly he starts to question everything. You see, when a woman is always available, always giving, always proving her love, a man settles into comfort. He knows she's there, he knows she'll answer his calls, respond to his texts, and be there no matter how much or how little effort he puts in. And because of that, he doesn't feel the need to step up. He doesn't feel urgency. He doesn't feel the weight of losing something valuable because he has never had to. But the second you detach, everything shifts. It's like pulling oxygen from a fire. He may not have noticed how much he needed it until it was gone. When a man senses distance, his instincts take over. He starts to wonder why your energy is no longer pouring into him. He begins to notice that the effortless access he once had to your time, your heart, your love is no longer guaranteed. And that is when his mind starts to work against him. At first he might brush it off, thinking you'll come back the way you always do. But as time passes, and you continue to remain in your own space, focused on yourself, he starts to feel it in a way that makes him uneasy. He starts to remember the things he once took for granted. The warmth of your voice, the way you used to check in on him, the way your presence made him feel important. And suddenly he realizes he may have underestimated you. Detachment is not about punishing a man, nor is it about manipulation. It is about breaking a pattern that has kept you in a position of waiting. It is about shifting the energy back to where it belongs. On you. The moment you stop making him the center of your thoughts, the moment you release the fear of losing him, you open the door for him to recognize what he had. Because men do not value what they do not have to work for. If a man never had to fight for your attention, never had to put in effort to keep you interested, he will never fully appreciate what you bring to his life. It's not that he doesn't care. It's that he never had to. He never felt the urgency, the possibility that you could walk away. But detachment forces him to see you in a different light. It forces him to realize that you are not an option, not a backup plan, not someone who waits endlessly for him to decide. And this is when he has to make a choice. He can either step up and meet you at the level you deserve, or he can fade into the background where he belongs. But either way, you win. Because detachment is not about making him change. It's about making sure you don't stay stuck in a cycle of giving and waiting. It's about reclaiming your time, your energy, your worth. Men respond to space in a way that is deeply psychological. When something is always available, it loses value in their eyes. But when something becomes rare, when it becomes uncertain, their instincts kick in. They start to feel what life is like without your energy, and that realization can be more powerful than any words you could ever say. The moment you detach, you are no longer waiting for his actions to dictate your emotions. You are no longer seeking his validation, no longer adjusting your worth based on his behavior. You are standing in your own power, and that power is magnetic. You are no longer the woman who is always available, always accommodating, always giving more than she receives. You are now the woman who chooses who gets access to her. And that shift, that is what makes all the difference. Because in the end, a man will only step up when he feels the real possibility of losing you. And the only way he will ever feel that is when you show him, not through words, not through ultimatums, but through action, by walking away from anything that does not value you the way you deserve. Love should flow naturally, effortlessly, like a river finding its way to the ocean. The moment you have to force it, chase it, or beg for it, something is already broken. Deep down, you know this. You feel it in your gut when you are holding on to someone who is not holding on to you in the same way. You sense the imbalance when you are the one always initiating, always giving more, always trying to prove your worth. And yet, you convince yourself that if you just love harder, if you just show more patience, if you just wait a little longer, he will finally realize your value. But love does not work that way. You cannot force someone to see you the way you deserve to be seen. You cannot convince a man to love you the way your heart craves. If he does not see your worth now, he will not suddenly wake up one day and appreciate you just because you refuse to give up. In fact, the harder you try, the more he will pull away. He will sense the desperation, the neediness, the energy of someone who is afraid of losing him. And that energy will push him further. A man values what he has to work for, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that speaks to human nature. When something is too easy, when it is handed to him without effort, when he knows you will always be there no matter what, he will not feel the urgency to cherish you. It is not because he does not care, it is because he has never had to fight for your presence. He has never had to fear losing you. And that is where so many women get it wrong. They believe that the more they do, the more they prove, the more they accommodate, the more a man will see their value. But in reality, the opposite happens. The more you force love, the more exhausted you become. The more you try to hold on to him, the more suffocating the relationship feels. The more you prove your love, the less he has to prove his. And in the end, you are left drained, depleted, wondering why all your efforts were not enough. The truth is, love that is meant for you will not require you to beg for it. It will not make you question your worth. It will not leave you in a constant state of anxiety, wondering where you stand. Real love is reciprocal. It is mutual effort, mutual desire, mutual respect. It does not require you to shrink yourself, to abandon your needs, to silence your voice, just to keep someone around. The moment you stop forcing love is the moment you reclaim your power. You start to see things clearly. You realize that a man who truly wants you will make it known. He will not leave you guessing. He will not make you feel like a burden. He will not make you fight for a space in his life. When a man truly values you, he will show up, not out of obligation, but because he wants to, because he sees your worth and he is afraid of losing you. But that kind of love can only come when you stop forcing what is not meant to stay. When you release the ones who make you feel like you are hard to love. When you let go of the fear that if you stop trying, he will leave. If a man is only there because you are forcing the connection, he is not truly there. And deep down you know it. When you choose yourself, something powerful happens. You shift your energy. You stop chasing. You stop trying to prove, and instead, you start attracting. You become the woman who knows her value, who is not afraid to walk away from anything that does not align with her worth. And that kind of energy, that is magnetic. That is the kind of energy that makes a man realize what he had before it is too late. Love should never be forced. It should never feel like a battle, to be seen, to be chosen, to be appreciated. The love that is right for you will never make you question whether you are enough. It will remind you in 1,000 little ways that you always have been. There is something undeniably magnetic about a woman who is not desperate for love, who is not clinging to a man for validation, who does not make someone else the center of her world. She moves differently. She carries an energy of certainty, of quiet confidence, of a deep knowing that she is enough, with or without him. And that is precisely why she is so irresistible. Men are drawn to women who radiate self-assurance, not those who try to hold on to them out of fear. When you detach, when you let go of the need to control how a man feels about you, you shift the entire dynamic. Suddenly, he is the one wondering what you are thinking. He is the one craving your presence. He is the one realizing that you are not like the others. The ones who begged, the ones who tried too hard, the ones who made him the center of their universe. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop over-investing in someone who has not yet shown they deserve that level of devotion. It means you are no longer anxiously waiting for a text, dissecting every word or adjusting your life to fit his. It means you refuse to chase love because you know that real love does not require chasing. It means you trust in your own worth so deeply that you do not need constant reassurance from a man to feel valuable. And that kind of energy is intoxicating. A man is wired to pursue, to work for what he wants, to feel like he has earned something of value. But when a woman clings too tightly, when she gives everything too soon, when she is too available, too eager, too focused on him, she removes the very thing that makes her intriguing. She becomes predictable. She becomes someone he can take for granted. But when a woman detaches, when she steps back and focuses on herself, something shifts. He starts to notice her absence. He starts to wonder why she is not chasing him. He starts to question whether he has her as much as he thought he did. And that curiosity, that uncertainty, that subtle fear of losing her, it is what ignites his desire. Men do not fall in love with women who sacrifice everything for them. They fall in love with women who have a life beyond them. They fall in love with women who are mysterious, who are unpredictable, who do not give all their energy away so easily. A woman who knows how to detach is a woman who holds power, because she understands that her value does not come from whether a man chooses her. It comes from how she carries herself, how she values herself, how she refuses to settle for anything less than what she deserves. A woman who is detached does not overreact when he pulls away. She does not panic when he takes longer to reply. She does not spiral into self-doubt, wondering if she did something wrong. Instead, she trusts. She leans back. She focuses on herself. And in doing so, she forces him to step up if he wants to keep her. A man is not afraid of losing a woman who makes it clear she will always be there, no matter how he treats her. But he is terrified of losing a woman who knows her worth, who knows that she is the prize, who will walk away the moment she feels unappreciated. That is the kind of woman who leaves an impression. That is the kind of woman who is unforgettable. Detachment makes you irresistible because it shifts the power back into your hands. It is no longer about whether he likes you. It is about whether he is worthy of you. It is no longer about proving your love. It is about seeing if he is capable of earning it. And when you embody that mindset, everything changes. Suddenly, you are not the one chasing love. You are the one attracting it. You are not the one begging for his attention. You are the one he cannot stop thinking about. You are not the one wondering if you are enough. You are the one he is afraid of losing. And that is where your true power lies. Your mind is more powerful than you realize. Every thought you entertain, every belief you hold, and every assumption you make is silently shaping your reality. Whether you are aware of it or not, your expectations become the foundation upon which your experiences are built. If you assume love will always slip through your fingers, it will. If you assume a man will mistreat you, he will. But if you assume you are worthy, adored, and deeply valued, life will begin to reflect that back to you. A man reacts not just to what you say or do, but to the energy you carry. You might think you are keeping your fears hidden, but they leak out in subtle ways, through your tone, through the way you text, through the hesitancy in your voice, through the way you overcompensate just to keep him interested. If deep down you believe he is losing interest, you will start acting as though he already has. You will start to seek validation, to overanalyze his words, to fear every moment of silence as a sign that he is slipping away. And in doing so, you unknowingly create the very outcome you dread. The truth is, a man picks up on your belief about yourself more than anything else. If you assume that you are a woman who is treasured, loved, and pursued, you will move differently. You will not chase. You will not tolerate breadcrumbs. You will not waste time deciphering mixed signals because your assumption will not allow it. You will expect consistency, devotion, and clarity, and because of that, you will naturally attract those who are willing to give it. But if you assume that love requires struggle, if you assume that you have to prove yourself worthy, if you assume that a man will eventually lose interest, you will find yourself in situations that confirm those very fears, not because you are doomed, but because your energy, your actions, and your decisions are all being influenced by those invisible assumptions. You will accept less. You will fight for attention that should be given freely. You will settle for almost relationships and half-hearted love because in your mind, that is what you expect. Your assumptions create an invisible script that the people around you unconsciously follow. If you believe that a man is captivated by you, he will feel that confidence radiating from you. If you believe you are irreplaceable, he will start to see you that way. But if you secretly assume that he is only with you until something better comes along, you will act from a place of insecurity, and that insecurity will push him away. This is why the most powerful shift you can make is within your own mind. You do not need to change him, convince him, or beg for anything. You simply need to change what you believe to be true. The moment you decide that you are worthy of love without effort, without fear, without proving, your energy shifts. And when your energy shifts, so does everything else. Think about the women who effortlessly attract devotion. They are not the ones who overthink every interaction, who live in fear of being abandoned, who cling too tightly in the hope that love will last. No. They are the ones who carry an unshakable inner knowing that they are the prize. They assume that the right man will cherish them, that they do not have to beg for love, that if someone walks away, it is simply making room for something better. And because they assume this, their actions align with that belief. They do not wait by the phone. They do not chase. They do not entertain men who are unsure about them. They trust in their own value, and in doing so, they inspire the kind of devotion that cannot be forced. If you want to change your experiences in love, you must start by changing your assumptions. Assume that you are desired, that you are unforgettable, that you are deeply valued. Assume that the right man will move mountains to be with you. Assume that you are always in control of your own happiness. And watch how quickly your world begins to reflect that truth back to you.